What's up, guys? Steven from Nope or Dope Reviews. I just got out of the theater at AMC and watched Fantastic Four. I know some of the reviews have already come out. A lot of them have come out from the press, giving it a pretty good to great score. I think Rotten Tomatoes right now is at 87% with over like 130 reviews. But there's some reviewers out there that are giving this movie a 1 out of 5, a 2 out of 5, a rotten score. Yes, everyone has a right to their own opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, just like mine. But I gotta say, you guys are absolutely ridiculous and crazy for giving that a rotten score. A 5 out of 10? Are you kidding me? This is one of the best Marvel Studios films in the last 5 years. I'd say recency bias, probably, but coming out of this movie, I say this is as good as a movie as No Way Home, or the best Marvel Studios movie since No Way Home. So, spoiler alert, I'm giving it a dope. Usually I give my review at the very end, the score, but it's a dope for me. Probably if I had to give this a number, it'd be a 9 out of 10, maybe even a 9.5. Again, maybe I'm a little bit high coming off a new Marvel Studios movie. I loved Thunderbolts, but it didn't make me feel like this. There's something about this movie that hit with me. It's probably the family dynamic. If you know me, if you know the family, there's Jen, my two boys. They really hit the family dynamic perfect in this movie. Right off the gate, yeah, sure, we know the Fantastic Four from previous iterations from Fox, but nothing hit the family dynamic like this movie did. Right from the get-go, it kicks off. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I might do a spoiler discussion a little bit later, but it hits off and the chemistry is already there. You've seen, Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal in these press junkets. They're all over each other. There's clearly chemistry outside. There's chemistry in this movie. The four together as a family. The best parts of this movie are when they're together. There's banter, there's comedy, there's heart. There's a lot of feeling in this movie. And that's what really holds this movie together. That's what makes this movie feel different than the most recent Marvel movies you've seen in a bit. Yeah, we love our family dynamic with the Avengers, but this really feels like a close-knit family right from the onset. And without that, this movie would fall apart. Great acting, great characters, and all four play a role in this. Not one person stole the show. I'll let you know who my favorites are, but everyone had their time to shine. Pedro was a perfect Reed Richards. I was concerned. I was very concerned when they picked Pedro, even though I love him in The Last of Us, in The Mandalorian. He's great, but there's just been a lot of Pedro. But in this movie, this was a tough role, honestly, because he had to play one of the smartest people in the universe, but he's also super anxious, super unsure of being a father, and super unsure how to tackle Galactus in this movie. Pedro killed it as Reed. He was so nerdy. That was so perfect for me. I just love the nerdiness coming from Reed Richards. Some of the other characters, Vanessa Kirby killed it as Sue Storm. She was really the heart and soul of this movie, honestly. She really carried it, especially in the second half of the movie, near the end of the movie. She really carried the movie, the heart. And some of the powers, I don't even remember Sue Storm having these powers. So it was great to see a little bit different side of Sue Storm. Not that the other Sue Storms before weren't good, but nothing compares to Vanessa Kirby. The Thing, he was the heart of it as well. He was funny. You've seen it in the trailers. He battles with who he is as a person, what he looks like, and that comes through. I wish we got a little bit more of The Thing. Out of the four characters from the family, he was probably the one that got the least amount of time, but when he was on screen, he was funny, he had heart. But honestly, one, if not my favorite character in this whole movie, was freaking Johnny Storm. He killed it. He was funny. He had a huge part in the plot of this movie. I thought, honestly, he would probably be the least most important of all the Fantastic Four characters, but he was one of the most important. He played a huge role, and his dynamic with Shia LaBeouf, the Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner, was honestly, it was those two that were my favorite characters in this movie. They played off each other so well. Julia, obviously, she's the Herald of Galactus. And I know there's haters out there because it's not Norrin Radd. Norrin Radd's one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel Comics. And I was upset that I wasn't going to get him. But we're going to get him in the future. Maybe in Secret Wars. Maybe in a future Marvel Studios installment. But this Shia LaBeouf character was awesome. She was fabulous. Fantastic in this movie. Galactus. You can't have a review of this movie without talking about Galactus. He is an imposing threat. As a character in the comics, he's my second favorite character to Thanos. I'm more of a cosmic, galactic side of things. That's my favorite part of the comics. That's my favorite part of these movies. And he was menacing. He was huge. His voice, we watched this in IMAX, was shaking the seats. He's the perfect Galactus. His voice is so deep, menacing, terrifying. He's one of the best Marvel Studios villains in a long time. I wouldn't say he's greater than Thanos. I wish he played a bigger part in this movie. I wish we saw him a little bit more. The movie is a little bit short. I wish it was a little bit longer, if that's one of my gripes. I think it could have been a tad longer. If you've seen some of the reviews, they say, hey, there's not a lot of action in it. And that's true. There isn't a lot of action in this movie. And I think that's what I appreciate about this movie more than anything, is that it felt like Interstellar. It felt more Star Trek than Star Wars. It felt more sci-fi than anything. And a lot of the movie, especially a lot of the second act, the middle part of the movie, it's just being with the family, trying to figure out what they needed to figure out. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but how to tackle the situation that was at hand. And I found that fascinating. Again, if it wasn't for the dynamic between the family, it would have been boring. But they're a great family, a great dynamic. And one thing that just weaved through the whole movie, that kind of held this movie together, that held the momentum and just made it better, was freaking Giacchino's score. This is probably the best score out of any comic book movie that I can remember in the last 10 years, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's, the John Williams Superman score, but I don't think they did it as well as they did in this movie. This movie it felt like the score was playing throughout the whole movie. He changed it up. From beginning, middle to end, he changed up the Fantastic Four score, but it just kept the movie going. It added depth to it. It added tension when it needed tension. Speaking of tension, this movie's darker than what you'd expect. You think Marvel Studios, you think haha, funny, comedy. No. There's comedy in this, but this movie is dark. This movie's tense. It has you on the edge of your seat a lot of times. And it has one of my favorite chase scenes in all of the MCU in the second act. They didn't really show this in the trailer. They showed bits and pieces of it. But how they did it, again, it felt Star Trek-y. It felt Interstellar. It felt like Apollo 13. It's not what I expected this movie to be, and that's why I think I'm so happy and excited to talk about this movie. Man, this is one of my favorite Marvel Studios movies of all time. It really is. Again, it's a little bit shorter than I thought. It could have been a little bit longer. Yes. Could there have been more action? Sure. But when the action was there, it was amazing. Reed Richards' powers have never looked any better on screen as it did in this movie. Again, I said Sue Storm felt like she had some new powers to her. Johnny was amazing, just flying through the air. The CGI it was amazing. This is one of the most beautiful looking comic book movies. Forget just Marvel Studios movies, but just comic book movies in general of all time. So great job with the CGI effects. The Thing looks great. freaking, what's his name? Paul Hauser, whatever his name is, as Mole Man. Give me like one of those shorts that they used to have back in the day on phase 2 and 3. My lights just shut off in here. Maybe I need to turn on the car, but yeah, give me a Mole Man short, or give me something on Disney Plus that I would love to see with him. But guys, I guess that's it for now. Since the lights have turned off, it's a dope for me. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie after you've seen it. Type dope in the comments, make this a double D. There's no way the majority of my viewers are going to think this movie's a nope. There's no way. I just can't see it. I know I just came out of the movie, a little recency bias, but I need to see this again and again. This is one of my favorite Marvel Studio movies of all time. If you're new to the channel, check out my other reactions and reviews. I've done like 9 movie reviews in the last month. I have more to come. Have some trailer reactions. Again, hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like. I'll check you out later. Peace.